Have you ever felt as though you were trapped in an inner knot for a long time, as if an invisible weight was holding you back, slowing your steps, and making every effort to progress seem futile? Here, we uncover the layers of truth together, diving into the sources of these burdens that have built up over time. This is not just a storytelling session. It is a journey to confront the traces of your past and reveal the hidden depths of your life. Have you ever considered how the closest relationships that shape your life can sometimes serve as the foundation for your deepest wounds? Have you questioned why the bonds that tie you to life occasionally transform into the source of your darkest memories? These questions carry a certain pain within them, yet they also hide a path to liberation you may not yet perceive. Here, we believe in the power of confrontation. The answers you find within yourself will plant the first seeds of healing when you look inward. And God said, "I have plans to prosper you and not to harm you, to give you hope and a future." Jeremiah 29:11. These words serve as a reminder that even during the darkest times in your life, there is a purpose set upon you. Sometimes life feels like a labyrinth, where we find ourselves struggling with seemingly unsolvable knots. But you must remember, God's hands are skilled at untying those knots. His promise is not just to lead you out of this chaos, but to rebuild you and strengthen your soul. As you search for the reasons behind the struggles in your life, perhaps you've found yourself asking, "Why always me?" repeatedly. You may feel unfortunate, like a victim of fate's unfair game. But what we see on the surface sometimes conceals a deeper truth. Perhaps these challenges are not mere coincidences, but links in a chain, connected to traces of your past that you haven't yet recognized. Now here we are, to break those chains, to untangle the bonds that bind and exhaust you. This is not about blame or reckoning. It is an invitation to uncover the truth and claim your freedom. This inner journey is much like a construction project. You need to revisit the broken, worn foundations of your life and rebuild them stronger than before. The relationships that have shaped you in the past are like the walls of a building. They may appear sturdy from the outside, but cracks and fractures may lie within. Discovering the source of those cracks, repairing them, and letting go of what no longer supports you is an opportunity for growth. This process may be painful, but it also brings profound freedom. Perhaps until now, you have believed that your destiny is controlled by your past. Maybe you have felt crushed under the weight of burdens placed upon you throughout your life. But know this: God sees you not only through your wounds, but also through your inner strength and potential. You are not merely a product of your past. You are a gift that transcends it. Now is the time to recognize that divine light within you and rise again. The words spoken to you or the wrongs done to you in the past do not define who you are. They are merely steps that remind you of who you choose to become. At this point, things start to become clearer. You realize that measuring your worth through the eyes of others has been draining you. This is a time to be honest, not with anyone else, but with yourself. God's plan is not for you to be crushed under the weight of your burdens, but to rise above them. Just like the sky brightens after a storm, your life too can shine again after this healing process. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. By clicking the Super Thanks button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more, you can help spread God's blessings far and wide. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but also the souls of many through this platform. In God's grand design, each of you holds a sacred place, and your generosity will bear the fruit of our prayers. Take action now. Share your blessings to glorify His kingdom. For you are created in God's loving hands to do even greater works. May God bless you. Now you may begin to understand the reality of the chains placed upon you. These chains exist to control you, to limit you, and to pull you away from the essence of who you truly are. But today is an opportunity to break those chains and claim the freedom God has promised you. This will not be an easy process. There will be times when you feel like you're searching for a light in the darkness. But remember, God's light begins to shine most brightly where the darkness is deepest. This journey is not only about breaking free from your past, but also about rewriting your future. It's about building strong foundations, surrounding yourself with people who support and value you, and ultimately realizing the full potential that God has bestowed upon you. Because you are a chosen being, a bearer of a sacred purpose, and you are here not as a mark of your wounds, but as a testament to your healing. Now is the time to begin writing this new story and walking in your own light, under God's guidance. Have you ever noticed how the connections that should form the foundation of your life sometimes become the source of your greatest inner conflicts? What happens when the hands meant to guide you instead burden you? Expectations can become chains, burdens you carry that seem impossible to break, no matter how hard you try. If you felt that others are constantly trying to mold you into their vision of who you should be, these words may resonate deeply with you. The gap between the role they impose upon you and your true self often becomes the most challenging battlefield. Perhaps no matter what you've done in life, you felt you were always lacking in their eyes. When you've tried to carve out your own path, you've had to confront the judgments you wish to leave behind. The values imposed upon you never truly aligned with your reality. It's as if, instead of being the hero of your own story, you were forced into the role of a supporting character in a story written by someone else. This isn't just about you, it's about their own unmet expectations and unfulfilled dreams that they project onto your world. You may be like a shrub in a parched land, but by God's grace, you will become a source of living water. Jeremiah 17:8. This verse reminds us of those moments when our spirit feels dry and barren. Yet, what God promises is always renewal and refreshment. Perhaps today you feel as though your roots are not being nourished, that your achievements are not being recognized. But remember, God sees you not just as a strong tree, but as one that bears fruit, provides shade, and beautifies everything around it. In life, we sometimes encounter words that cast a shadow even over our successes. These words often leave wounds far deeper than overt criticism. Perhaps you achieved something, reached a goal, and thought it deserved celebration. Instead, you heard phrases like, "So, what's next?" or "Is that all?" Such statements are polite disguises for belittlement, leaving you with feelings of disappointment and inadequacy. When that cold shadow falls over you, all your efforts can suddenly feel meaningless. The conditional nature of a parent's love or a close one's support weighs heavily on the human soul. You may come to realize that earning their approval feels like a never-ending test. The thought, "No matter what I do, it's never enough," chips away at your confidence and makes you question your worth. This isn't just a lack of validation, it's an effect that undermines your identity, your abilities, and even your future. But here is where God's light comes into play. In His eyes, who you are and what you do are not limited by the measures of others. God loves you unconditionally, accepts you completely, and does not judge you based on your successes or failures. People may abandon you, diminish your achievements, or cast a shadow of disappointment over you. Yet God always reaches out his hand and says, "You are already valuable. You are already loved." This emotional void often fills with the desire to please others. You work harder, strive more, all in the hope of being loved and accepted. But this is not what God wants for you. He does not want you to exhaust yourself in an endless cycle. He wants you to rediscover yourself in peace. In every moment your efforts are belittled, God stands beside you and says, "I see you." And that is the greatest victory, because God's love is unconditional. Perhaps it's time to recognize how much these words have affected you. You need to ask yourself, whose perspective am I measuring my successes by? God's view or the standards of those who hurt me? Letting go of the latter is difficult, but it is necessary for your freedom. Because when you walk in His path, the shadows of the past cannot hold you back. Now is the time to stop living in the shadow of others. Every "you're not enough" or "you could have done better" is a force that can propel you forward. God transforms barren lands into springs of life, guiding you toward a future filled with love and value. His grace heals and exalts you. So, set aside those who belittle your achievements and focus on the strength and worth God has given you, because He is always with you. Imagine waking up every morning with an unshakable weight pressing down on your chest. Picture those who are supposed to be your closest allies, approaching you not with love, but with a cold distance. These are not strangers, but the very people you call home. Instead of a bond filled with trust, you find yourself under constant pressure to change and a barrage of criticism that highlights your shortcomings. This is a burden you struggle to name, a responsibility unknowingly placed on your shoulders since childhood. A father's silence, a mother's sharp words, or a sibling's mocking gaze as if you were a rival. All these leave unseen but deeply felt scars on your soul. Dear brothers and sisters, may the peace of God be upon you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the fleeting concerns of the world. As the Holy Scripture says, "Those who trust in the Lord will find new strength. They will soar high on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not faint." Isaiah 40:31. Like a mighty oak tree, our roots are deeply anchored in God's eternal truth. Every step we take, every stand we make, is safeguarded by His power. And now, you have the opportunity to be a part of this blessing. By using the Super Thanks button and contributing $100, this act will return to you 100-fold in abundance. No matter how hard you try, you cannot silence those familiar voices echoing within you. Why do you always get it wrong? How can others succeed while you fail? Will you ever be able to do more? These are not just simple phrases. They are sharp blows that continuously push you to question yourself. Despite all your efforts, striving to surpass the bar they've set becomes an endless cycle. You grow tired, exhausted, yet you never seem to reach the destination. You find yourself reshaping who you are over and over to meet their expectations. You change, becoming a different version of yourself, but still, you feel as though you've lost your essence, because, in truth, the role imposed upon you was never your story to live. The boundaries drawn around you were meant only to control and limit your freedom. And the more you tried to fit into that mold, the farther you drifted from your true self. In the silence, a pain rises from the depths of your past. The awareness of how those who were supposed to shape your life have hurt you intensifies the darkness of the moment. Feeling that your worth is tied to their conditions creates a despair that eats away at your soul. It's as if you're lost in a labyrinth, growing further from yourself with every step you take to seek their approval. The person you see in the mirror no longer feels like you. They are a stranger, molded by the disappointments and expectations of others. The shadows of those who were meant to bring meaning to your life rob you of your own light. The emptiness created by conditional love and support becomes a battlefield of inner conflict. What happens when the place you once sought refuge in suddenly turns into a war zone? When the expectations placed on your shoulders force you to live not your own life, but the life they desire for you. Manipulation presented under the guise of love leaves deep wounds in your soul, scars you carry for years. And this isn't just the betrayal of a stranger, but the devastating impact of those closest to you. Sometimes, those who were meant to protect you become your greatest obstacles. A mother's compassion is often taught to be boundless, but reality can be quite different. As you trace the roots of your existence, acknowledging the wounds that have surfaced is a difficult yet inevitable step. This pain is not merely a reflection of a single moment, but a manifestation of past and present realities. Everything you feel is part of your search for meaning, and recognizing these emotions is the bravest step you can take toward healing. This journey begins by letting go of self-blame and discovering the freedom hidden behind the pain. Follow the traces of the past in the deep thoughts that linger in your mind. Reflect on how childhood wounds have shaped you, how criticism has undermined your sense of self-worth, and how conditional love has created voids within you. Recognize the patterns that have hurt you, sometimes through harsh words, other times through the neglect of silence. Understanding these cycles is the first step toward breaking free from imposed perceptions and redefining your own worth. At this point, boundaries become your strongest tool for protection and healing. It's not about severing ties entirely, but freeing yourself from painful influences and creating a safe space. Setting clear boundaries, whether by expressing your needs or maintaining distance, is a way to honor and respect yourself. The Lord heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147, verse 3. This verse reminds us of God's promise to offer healing, even in the most shattered moments of our souls. Just as a valley is reborn after a storm, our hearts, when broken, can be rebuilt by God's loving hands. Though each of us carries unseen wounds, God knows them all and has the power to heal them. On this journey, healing comes not only through divine guidance, but also through earthly tools. Life can sometimes pull you into such a complex and heavy burden that you don't even know where to begin. Conflicts with your family, relationships, or past may feel like an unresolvable knot. At such a moment, you need the light of a guide. Professional help can serve as a roadmap to untangling these complicated knots. Just as God patiently guides us onto the right path, a therapist can help expand your perspectives, understand your traumas, and build a stronger sense of self. Your therapist is an instrument within God's earthly plan, guiding you toward healing and restoration. But remember, on this journey, inner compassion is just as important as external guidance. Self-compassion is accepting the unconditional love God offers you. Show yourself the same understanding you would show a dear friend. Many times in life, you extend compassion to others, yet you hesitate to treat yourself with the same kindness. During this process, you must learn to be gentle with yourself. For God's plan for you is not only to love others, but to love yourself as well. Do not underestimate the power of small steps. Sometimes a smile, a bold decision, or simply the courage to start a new day is proof of the great transformation God is working in your life. Celebrate every small step, for they are symbols of your healing and resilience. Like flowers blooming slowly in a valley, you too are growing with every little victory. It's time to stop defining yourself by the expectations of others. Your worth cannot be measured by what you do or how well you please others. God loves you for who you are. His love is unconditional. If you ever feel that what you do is not enough, listen to God's voice. He always tells you, "You are already precious in my eyes." There will be moments in this journey when you stumble. Some days, moving forward may feel impossible, but every setback is an opportunity to regroup. Just as a ship adjusts its course in the wind, you too can find your way again. For God is your guide. He will never leave you and will share His strength with you every time you fall, helping you rise again. Finally, remember that this journey is not about reaching a destination, but embracing the process. You are constantly learning, growing, and being reborn. Every wound tells a story, but you can rewrite that story in God's light. With His guidance, using both earthly tools and divine support, you will rediscover who you are. At the end of this journey, you will feel not only strong, but also blessed, for He loves you and is always working with you toward your healing. Rewriting your life story is a transformative way to dismantle the perception of inadequacy you were taught in the past. Begin to see yourself not through the lens of unworthiness, but as inherently deserving. This allows you to uproot deeply ingrained negative beliefs and replace them with a foundation of love and acceptance. Surrounding yourself with people who support and inspire you is another key to healing. New relationships can fill the voids left by the past, providing you with a stronger emotional foundation. Honor yourself with daily self-care rituals. Taking time for activities that nourish your soul serves as a constant reminder of your worth and forgiveness. As difficult as it may be, it is necessary to release the burdens of the past. Forgiveness is not about excusing what happened. It is about breaking the chains that hold you back and stepping into freedom. Forgiving both yourself and those who have hurt you in the past will help you embrace the future with a lighter and freer heart. Call to me, and I will answer you and tell you great and unsearchable things you do not know. Jeremiah 33:3. This verse reminds us that when we call upon God, He will guide us even in our darkest moments. The healing journey, though it may feel solitary, is a process where God walks with you every step of the way. Like a lighthouse guiding a lost ship in a storm, He lights your path and gives you hope. Healing is not a finish line, but an ongoing journey of renewal. This process will sometimes push you to dive deep within yourself, to confront your past pains, understand them, and ultimately rebuild. Yet this is not a burden, but an opportunity. In God's plan, every wound tells a story, and every story makes you stronger. Your wounds do not define you. How you rise above them shapes who you are. Your life may have been filled with challenges, disappointments, and broken dreams, but God sees you not through any of these things, but through who you are and who you can become. In moments when you feel weak, inadequate, or unsuccessful, remember there is a power rebuilding you during this process. God does not simply heal you. He makes you more resilient, stronger, and wiser. Throughout this journey, you will need to look within often. Listening to your own heart and facing your darkest fears requires courage. Yet God's love for you remains a light by your side, even in those dark moments. Like a flower blooming among the rocks, you too can find beauty and strength in the most challenging circumstances. When you dedicate yourself to healing, you will discover that every step holds a hidden gift. These gifts are your resilience, self-love, and the realization of your potential. God does not leave you alone in this process. With every small victory, you will feel His smile upon you. One day, when you look back, you will see just how far those small steps have carried you. Healing is not dependent on the approval of others. Your worth is not measured by what you do, but by your place in God's eyes. He promises that He has a great plan for you. This plan involves not only healing the wounds of the past, but also building a new future. So, no matter how difficult it may seem, view this process as an opportunity. Every day, be a part of a life rebuilt by God's love. Remember, this journey is like a marathon. It won't end quickly, and there will be ups and downs along the way. However, in every low moment, you will see God reaching out His hand to lift you up again. This journey is a testament to your resilience, your strength, and God's love for you. In the end, this process will teach you not only how to heal, but also how to see and live your potential, because He loves you and has great plans for you. Now is the time to click the Super Thanks button on YouTube and share God's blessings. You can contribute to His plan by making a donation of $100 or more and become part of this divine mission. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you multiplied beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessings are with you in every step you take and every donation you make. You become a part of His divine plan. You are a strong, radiant being, unshakable like His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity within your soul, and illuminate the world with this trust and courage. Be blessed, and let the Lord's light guide your way. If the toxic relationships in your family extend beyond one person and spread to many, you understand how exhausting it can be. Every conversation feels like a prelude to criticism or carefully disguised manipulation. The home becomes less of a refuge and more of a place where you constantly need to defend yourself. Feeling that the people you expect support from are working together to wear you down traps you in a sense of loneliness. It creates a deep-seated insecurity that makes you doubt your truth and self-worth. In those moments when you begin to question yourself, you realize that the problem isn't you and that you deserve a better life. There is a time for everything, and a season for every activity under the heavens. Ecclesiastes 3:1. It is important to remember that everything in life has its season. Some seasons come for growth and harvest, while others are for pruning and cleansing. Cutting away the ties in your soul's garden that do not serve you and cast shadows on your life is necessary to reach the freedom and peace God has promised you. Healing often requires sacrifice, and that sacrifice begins with accepting the need to free yourself from the ties that pull you down. Facing the dynamics that have hurt you in life takes courage. However, it is not your responsibility to carry the weight of these burdens. The choices and behaviors of others do not define your worth. The strongest thing you can do at this point is to accept the truth as it is and change how that truth affects you. God did not create you to be crushed under the weight of others' decisions. He chose you for a life of freedom and peace. Setting healthy boundaries is a way of remaining faithful to God's plan for you. Just as the Israelites had to avoid certain paths to reach the Promised Land, you too can advance in life by distancing yourself from toxic interactions. These boundaries are an expression of who you are and the value God has given you. This might mean increasing distance in certain relationships. It might even mean walking away completely. But no matter the choice, this step is not a loss, but a gain. For your peace and spiritual well-being are priceless. On this journey, surrounding yourself with people who uplift and value you is crucial. Like a fresh oasis in the middle of a desert, supportive relationships nourish and strengthen you. God did not call you to walk this journey alone. He has placed people in your life to guide you and walk alongside you. These individuals are blessings and essential parts of your healing process. It is normal to feel pain when making difficult decisions. This might mean cutting ties with certain relationships that have been a significant part of your past. However, God's plan is not to keep you anchored to the past, but to lead you onto a path that carries you into the future. As you take these challenging steps, remember God's love and His plan for you. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. Every boundary you set and every distance you create provides you with space to breathe again. With God's guidance, you can fill these spaces with peace, healing, and hope. And remember, even if you feel like you failed along the way, He will never abandon you. Every decision, every small step, brings you closer to a freer life. As you break free from the bonds that suffocate your soul and step into the peaceful life God has promised, you will feel both His love and your own strength more clearly. Because He loves you and wants to walk this healing journey with you. Healing deep wounds requires patience and time. It is not always a straight path. There will be setbacks and moments of revisiting old pain. Yet every step forward is a victory in reclaiming your life. Remember, you are not alone on this path. There are others who have faced similar struggles and emerged stronger. Their stories can serve as a guide to nourish your courage and hope. You are stronger than the harm inflicted upon you. Your resilience is proof that you are still standing, despite all you've been through. No matter how deep your wounds, your capacity for healing runs deeper. This life is yours, and you have the right to live it free from the shadows of your past.